This week has been declared the national mourning period for the victims of the deadly Halloween stampede in Itaewon that claimed 154 lives. We send our deepest condolences to bereaved families. Our thoughts and prayers are with the victims. And now it's time for us to get a closer look at some of these major headlines with Adam joining us via Zoom. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning, Lena. Wish I could welcome you back in better circumstances, but we all know what the situation is like in the country right now, unfortunately.
I do wish I was returning under better circumstances. Seoul, South Korea is mourning the loss of over 150 lives, and we'll actually start our headlines there. This is our first keyword of the day.
Itaewon tragedy.
So Halloween celebrations quickly turned to a tragedy over the weekend as crowds in Itaewon converged in a deadly crush in what seems to look like a domino effect. What's the latest, Adam?
Right, well, just to give you a little bit of the background information surrounding the incident, as of 5:30 p.m. Sunday, 154 deaths were confirmed, at least 133 others injured. However, the death toll is expected to rise after 37 people sustained serious injuries. Of the dead, 98 are women, 56 are men. Officials have surmised that the majority of the dead are women because they have smaller frames and were unable to basically fight their way out of the crush of people, but that is just a theory at this stage. Early reports said that most of the victims were also in their 20s or teenagers as well. At least 26 foreign nationals are among the dead. Also, more than a dozen embassies around the globe have confirmed victims from their country. The Seoul Metropolitan Government received reports of just over 4,000 people missing as of 5 p.m. yesterday. Nearly all of the victims have been identified. Authorities did rush to the scene, but the sheer volume of people made it difficult to reach those who needed help just because of the narrow alleyway where the incident took place. And there's been a number of photos and videos posted to social media showing people performing CPR on other party goers and medical officials as well performing such CPRs as well. And what has been quite a gruesome images from the scene over the weekend.
It's actually a tough set of images and videos to watch. Of course, more investigations are needed on what caused the tragedy, but we do have some answers, even just based on some of these footages we've been getting. I mean, just compared to a week ago, we saw a threefold crowd increase in the area of Itaewon in light of course, celebrating Halloween, as you've said. Could it have been prevented is, I guess, the prevailing question, because this is in the heart of Seoul and the tragedy shocks us all.
Right, there's going to be many questions surrounding the cause and possible measures to prevent them going forward as well. A lot of theories and surrounding the incident, a lot of questions being raised about could it have been prevented as well. But an investigation is underway, but officials don't yet know the exact cause or the circumstances which led to the crush. They're basically, the majority of the theories that are coming out are through witness accounts at the moment. They say that partygoers were packed tightly into narrow streets in Itaewon as people enjoyed the first Halloween weekend since pandemic restrictions were lifted. The disaster began apparently sometime after 10 p.m. on Saturday, with the first calls for help received at 10:15 p.m. People departing the area ran into people basically arriving in the area, coming together with tragic consequences in basically tightly packed alleyways. A large number of people simultaneously entered a narrow road near an exit of an Itaewon subway station near the Hamilton Hotel. The width of the alleyway is said to be between 3 to 4 meters wide, and there's been witness accounts saying that it was even narrower because there have been tables set up by people doing face painting because of the Halloween festivities. Witnesses say the location was also sloped as well, and people fell over each other on the steep pavement and basically toppled like dominoes. Now, assuming that one person weighs about 50 kilograms, the total weight would be 5,000 kilograms if there are 100 of them. And considering there are said to be about 10,000 gathered in that area. You could just imagine the sheer weight of these people being crushed. Many of the victims say they have been trampled and suffocated under the weight of others. Experts say that people can even suffocate even while standing because of the excessive crowd density surrounding them. Now, meanwhile, Prime Minister Han Duck-soo has declared the Yongsan district, in which Itaewon is in, a special disaster area and will provide subsidies to those who have been injured and to the families of people killed in the tragedy. A national mourning period will also run through November 5th. Public servants will therefore be required to wear a ribbon. Entertainment shows and festivals will also be cancelled. The president also ordered the lowering of flags as well. A joint memorial altar will be set up at Seoul Plaza this morning, to allow people to pay tribute to the victims. Another morning altar at Itaewon Plaza as well.
All right, let's take a look at some of the reactions coming out locally and from abroad. This is our second related keyword of the day.
Reactions.
So condolences have been pouring out from across the world. Global leaders chiming in, for example, politicians vowing measures to prevent such tragedies from reoccurring. What are the details, Adam?
Right. Well, President Yoon, to start off, arrived at the scene of the Itaewon disaster around 10 a.m. on Sunday. He gave a national address the day before. Seoul Mayor also cut short his visit to Europe as well upon hearing the reports while in Rotterdam. President Yoon described the incident as truly horrific, saying the tragedy and disaster should never have happened. He added that he will place top priority in administrative affairs, in recovery and follow-up measures. And he said the government will support funeral preparations and fully mobilize emergency medical services to treat patients. And he also said he will instruct the Interior Ministry and other relevant ministries to carry out an emergency review of all Halloween celebrations and other local festivals to ensure they are conducted in an orderly and safe manner. Leaders from around the world, including the US, Japan, France, China, the UK, Mexico, and others, have sent their condolences as well. Meanwhile, the ruling and opposition parties have held emergency response meetings on Sunday to discuss ways to investigate or instigate the cause. The PVP said the ruling party and the government will make utmost efforts to get the accident under control and come up with follow-up measures, calling for police to promptly identify victims and analyze the exact cause of the accident, although nearly all of the victims have been identified now. The Democratic Party will set up a body tasked with investigating the accident as well, and pushed for convening an emergency session of the Public Administration and Security Committee to discuss the matter as well.
So as investigations go forward, we'll have the details with all of our listeners. In the meantime, it's been said that these traumatic images and videos, it's, first of all, most unfair for, I guess, the families of the deceased. So to repost them online is not only discouraged, it's illegal. So it's something to be mindful of going forward, and managing what is right in that sense. But we'll leave that story for now as we move on to another keyword of the day.
Vigilant Storm.
So South Korea and the United States have begun major combined air drills amid heightened tensions on the Korean peninsula. So tell us the details, Adam.
Right. The South Korean Air Force, together with the US's 7th Air Force, is holding the Vigilant Storm drill through Friday in South Korean airspace. South Korea has deployed some 140 aircraft, including F-35A stealth jets and F-15K fighter jets. The US has sent some 100 assets, including F-35B jets, EA-18 electronic warfare aircraft, and KC-135 tankers as well. The Air Force added that the upcoming exercise will feature the first ever participation of F-35B multi-role combat aircraft from the US. It would mark the US military's first dispatch of F-35B jets here, in an apparent move by the Allies to highlight their combined air power. Australia's Air Force will also join the exercise with the deployment of a KC-30A tanker transport. During the exercise, the Korea Air and Space Operations Center, tasked with spearheading wartime air operations, will also check its operational capabilities by commanding Allied air assets that are set to carry out a combined 1,600 sorties. Such a combined air exercise was first held in 2015 under the name of Vigilant Ace, which was suspended in 2018 amid the then Moon Jae-in administration's drive for basically inter-Korean reconciliation. It changed its name once more in 2018, and again this time to Vigilant Storm. The Air Force said the drill's name again underwent a change and its scope was expanded this year as part of efforts to basically boost the strategic and tactical capacity of all units involved to solidify combined readiness after scaling the drill down. Seoul and Washington are striving to sharpen deterrence amid concerns that Pyongyang could ratchet up tensions again by conducting either a nuclear test or other provocative acts.
We've already had dozens reported within this calendar year, and tensions remain high on the Korean peninsula, hence this latest report. Let's finally move on to the economic section for our last keyword of the day.
Korean currency.
So the Japanese yen and the Chinese yuan have remained weak against a U.S. dollar, deepening concerns that the Korean won will also follow suit. Traveling to Europe for me was very, very expensive, and that might be an understatement. What's the latest?
Right. Well, the Korean won is concerns that the one will follow suit, but it also has been already depreciating against the US dollar. So it's kind of adding to those concerns, and it kind of seems inevitable for Asian currencies to lose ground further against the greenback, as the US Federal Reserve is expected to continue its aggressive monetary tightening. The direct cause of the weakness of the yen and the yuan was the Fed's hawkish move to raise its key interest rates to tame inflation. The Chinese yuan has dropped around 12% against the dollar so far this year. The offshore yuan briefly plunged to a record low of 7.2790 per dollar Thursday. The slide also reflected a gloomy outlook for the Chinese economy as well. The situation is actually more serious with the Japanese yen. It has lost about 30% of its value compared to the US currency since the start of this year. It tumbled below the psychologically important 150 level Thursday, hitting a 32-year low. Some pessimists warn that the yen's further depreciation might bring about what is reminiscent of the Asian financial crisis in 97 and 98. The problem with Japan is that its government has continued to make the yen weak against the dollar to help maintain the price competitiveness of the country's products in global markets. Japan has kept its benchmark interest rate at near zero and has made no efforts basically to keep up with the Fed's aggressive interest rate hikes, unlike what the BOK is doing. Analysts say it appears to be too late, actually, for the Japanese central bank to move toward monetary tightening at this point. Watchers say South Korea appears to be bearing the brunt of the Bank of Japan's bold experiments in influencing price behavior. These risks get magnified when China and a weak yuan enter the conversation, because China still plays a massive role and is deeply embedded in the Asian supply chain. Analysts also warn that overseas investors will perceive such depreciations as a sign of a negative outlook for the Asian market in general and may pull their money out in search of safe haven assets. This could lead to more extreme volatility in the Korean stock and currency markets, but there are some experts that are kind of downplaying fears that it will have a negative impact on Korea's exports, saying that it won't really have that much of an effect in terms of Korea's exports, but it could have an effect on overall trade in the country. So, of course, we'll have to see how it all plays out.
Thank you very much, Adam, for the delivery of the major news this morning. Have a safe day, and we'll speak to you again tomorrow.
You too. See you tomorrow.
If you're listening to our program using the podcast service, just a reminder that we do go live Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Korea Standard Time. So tune in and help us make the show more informative by giving us your input. See you bright and early on Good Morning Seoul.